Grace and Noble.
Hello again. So we talked about light, behavior of light, and in other words, optics. Alright. Today we are going to talk about lenses. Before we talk about lenses, I'll show you something in my hand. Looks like a triangle. If it is in glass, it's called a prism. Right? So the bottom part of the prism is called base. The topmost part is called apex. Base, apex. Now, if we are going to have a base to base prism, it's going to be a plus lens. We'll discuss more about it in a few minutes. If it is going to be apex to apex, it's going to be a minus lens. Just remember this. Prism, bottom part is called base, the topmost part is called apex. If it's a base to base, it's going to be plus, and if it is apex to apex, it's going to be minus. That's all about the prism. And prism is going to bend the light. When the light passes through a prism, it's going to bend towards the base. So, if this is the base, this is the apex, light passes through, bends towards the base. Light passes through, bends toward the base. So, now I will show you a plus lens, and then we'll discuss more about it. And before we show about a plus lens, let's see how the lens looks like. Alright, when it is manufactured, before we manufacture a lens, it's called the blank. So, this lens, whatever power it has, it comes from a blank. A blank is much thicker. So, from the blanks, they will try to cut and induce the power depending upon the curvature of the lens. Okay, don't go too much into detail about the manufacturing aspect. When you look at something very thick, it is most likely to be a blank. So when you cut a blank in certain curvatures, you will get powers in the lens. Alright, this is how the lens looks like. If there is no power at all, for example, if you look at the lens, if there is no movement of the object, it is most likely to be a plano. Because if it is 0.25 also, sometimes you will get an issue. So, if it's absolutely zero movement, it is absolutely plano. It's called a plano lens. We can use a plano lens if a patient or a customer comes and tells you, I feel I'm in front of a digital device or a laptop for 10 hours continuously. So I need something to protect my eyes from the rays that pass through. Therefore, I don't have a power. All I need is to have a plain lens with anti-reflection coating. We'll talk more about anti-reflection coating later. But here we are talking about a plano lens. So you can put a plano lens or a pair of plano lenses in both eyes and tell the customer, fantastic, you look so handsome now or beautiful. So this is a lens. Now we'll talk about plus lenses. This is when you go into an optical clinic, have a look at the tray of lenses. You will find plus lenses and minus lenses, and of course astigmatic lenses. This is, as you can see, if you are able to see, plus 20. Plus 20. Plus lens, you can also see somebody who is going to read your palm. Astrologers, they use magnifying glasses, right? So plus lens. This is also a plus lens. And what's a plus lens is all about? So I told you, when ray passes through a prism, it bends towards the base. So a base to base prism is called a plus lens. So we make a plus lens out of it. Now, so how to identify a plus lens? Or if a customer is coming with some spectacles and you remove the spectacles and you look at it and you move the spectacles, and immediately you can identify whether it is plus or minus or astigmatism or even progressive. So in a plus lens, the first thing immediately you can identify is move it towards your eye and away from your eye. Alright. So when you are going to move like this, object magnifies in a plus lens. You look at it and you just move it a little bit ahead and you will see magnification happening of the object. Or if you move it sidewise, take the spectacles of a patient and move it sidewise, and you will see against movement, which is called, use this terminology, against movement. The object will move against and the lens that you are moving in the opposite direction. So you have in a plus lens, object will magnify and object will move against. The center of any plus lens is thick, the periphery at the corner is thin. Right? And what else do you want to know about a plus lens? If you are going to focus light which is coming from the source, the light rays will come to a point, to a focal point. Take a plus lens, any plus lens, go under the sun, see it, all the light will converge. Use this word, remember this word, convergence of light means all the rays come to a focal point. And just show it and your hand will burn, because all the light will concentrate at a point and you will feel the heat. We used to play it when we were children, right? So that's how a plus lens works. And now we'll talk about a minus lens. In a minus lens, okay, this is again minus 20. I told you base to base is a plus lens, apex to apex is a minus lens. So in a minus lens, you will have this concave structure, that was convex structure. In concave structure, you will have the center will be thin. Instead of magnifying, it will be diminishing image, diminishing object. So you move it, object will become smaller. Then if you move it on the sideways, there will be with movement. So object will move along with the lens. As you can see, the periphery is thick, the center is thin. And if you are going under the sun and focus the light rays, nothing will happen, because all the light rays, when they pass through a minus lens, they will diverge, they will not converge. Opposite of convergence is divergence. Clear? Plus lens and a minus lens. And we talked about, now we'll talk about astigmatism. Astigmatism, we'll talk more when we are talking about myopia, hyperopia and astigmatism, the shape of the eye. But here we are talking about astigmatic lens, cylindrical lens. They don't say it astigmatic lens, they will say it as cylindrical lens. Why cylindrical lens? Because the shape of the eye for an astigmatic patient is not like a football. It is like a rugby ball. I don't know if you have seen the rugby ball, but you have definitely seen an egg. Okay, and if you have definitely seen a football. Football is round in shape. An egg is oval in shape. So if you cut the center of the egg, it will be very round. If you see the side of this egg, then it will be flat. So there are two shapes in this egg. So if you look at the cylinder also, on the side it is flat and the center it is circular. Nice, easy. So this is why we call it as a cylindrical lens, because it has flat side, spherical side. We'll discuss more when we talk about refraction, how the power forms. But right now we are talking about a lens. So when you have a cylindrical lens, if you have, again, if the movement is same, all the plus and minus things are everything same. If you have a plus cylinder, if you have a minus cylinder, everything is same, exactly the same. Only thing is that if you have a cylindrical, how to identify this patient has a cylinder? So normally you move the lens, you have with movement, you have against movement, right? If you want to identify a cylinder, what you need to do is change it, turn the lens. If there is no movement when you are rotating the lens, then there is no cylinder. If there is, the object is moving along with you, then definitely this patient has cylindrical power. Then again, in a plus lens, you can see at 90 degrees, you will have, if it is a plus lens, at 90 degrees, you will have the object. You just have to erect some kind of a stick in front of you and look at the through the lens at that stick. If it is a plus lens, then at 90 degrees the object will be thick. At 180 degrees the object will be thin. Okay, so if you are changing the shape of the lens to cylindrical lens like this, at one point when you see this is a thick lens at the center, it's a plus. So when the object is thick, then it is 90 degrees, and naturally if the vertical meridian is at 90 degrees, the horizontal meridian is 190 degrees, it's going to be thin. The opposite converse is true when it is a minus lens. At 90 degrees in a minus lens, the object will be thin. At 190 degrees, it will be thick. Okay. So this is, we talked about a plus lens, we talked about a minus lens, we talked about a cylindrical lens. Then we are going to talk about a progressive lens. I am not going to talk about progressive lens right now because it's a huge subject. We'll discuss at length, but progressive is nothing but no bifocals. Merely, bifocals means you have, something for the reading, you have something for the distance. So no line bifocals, you will have progressive lenses, which means you can see the distance, you can see the near, and you can even see the intermediate. We will talk in detail about progressive lenses later. Clear? Easy? Okay. All you need to do is have a look at those images and then, go through the literature, answer the questions, upload them, and it's done. Great. See you soon.